Welcome to Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, the War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman. We're broadcasting from Cleveland, Ohio. In Baton Rouge, Louisiana, a former Marine has killed 3 police officers. The shooting began just before 9 a.m. Sunday at a gas station on the city's Airline Highway, a mile from the Baton Rouge Police Department headquarters. The police department has been the site of more than a week of protests against police violence. The demonstrations were sparked by the fatal shooting of Baton Rouge resident Alton Sterling by police. On Sunday, Baton Rouge officers were reportedly responding to a 911 call of shots fired when they were ambushed by a gunman. 3 officers were killed, 3 others wounded. 1 is in critical condition. Police have identified the shooter as African-American Gavin Long, a resident of Kansas City, Missouri. Long served in Iraq and was discharged at the rank of sergeant in 2010. In the week before the shooting, Long recorded a video in which he discusses his anger toward police for the killing of African Americans. Using the alias Cosmo Setepenra, Long urges African American men to fight back against the police. Meanwhile, Montrell Jackson, one of the slain officers, had posted recently on Facebook about the atmosphere in Baton Rouge after Alton Sterling's killing. The officer wrote, quote, "I swear to God I love this city, but I wonder if this city loves me. In uniform, I get nasty, hateful looks, and out of uniform, some consider me a threat. These are trying times. Please don't let hate infect your heart," the officer wrote. Alton Sterling's aunt, Veda Washington Abusalah, appealed for calm after Sunday's shooting.
We don't call for no bloodshed. That's how this all started, with bloodshed. We don't want no more bloodshed. So if you're not on accord with us, leave. Go home, go wherever you come from. This is our house. You can't come in our house killing us. That's what you're doing, because at the end of the day, when these people call these families and they tell them that their daddies and their mama's not coming home no more, I know how they feel, because I got the same phone call. No justice, no justice, no peace. That's what we're calling for. Stop this killing. Stop this killing. Stop this killing.
That was Alton Sterling's aunt, Veda Washington Abusalah. Sunday's shooting came only 2 days after hundreds of people gathered for the funeral of Alton Sterling. Baton Rouge Mayor Kip Holden did not attend. Holden has reportedly not even called the Sterling family yet. Hundreds of people protested outside the mayor's office, demanding he resign in the wake of Sterling's death. Other prominent officials, including Louisiana Governor John Bel Edwards and Louisiana Congressman Cedric Richmond, or staff of the governor, did attend Alton Sterling's funeral on Friday. Meanwhile, in the wake of Sunday's fatal shooting of 3 police officers, presumptive Republican presidential nominee Donald Trump repeated his claim that he is the law and order candidate, while Democratic presidential candidate Hillary Clinton said the attack was, quote, an assault on all of us, unquote. In May, Louisiana Governor John Bel Edwards signed a so-called Blue Lives Matter law, which expands Louisiana's hate crime statute to include police officers, firefighters, and EMS personnel. Following the shooting, multiple politicians used the phrase Blue Lives Matter or the phrase All Lives Matter, including former Louisiana Governor Bobby Jindal, who was speaking with Fox News' Shepard Smith. This clip begins with former Governor Jindal.
We've got to say that all lives matter. It doesn't matter what color you are, black, white, brown, red. It doesn't matter. All lives matter. We've got to protect and value our police.
Governor, you know that phrase you just used is one that's seen by many as derogatory, right? And I just wonder why it is that you use that phrase when there's a certain segment of the population that believes it's a real dig on them.
Well, Shepard, it's not meant to be. The point is this: we've got to move beyond race.
In response, some Fox News viewers have called for Shepard Smith to be fired. We'll go to Baton Rouge for more on the fatal shooting of the police officers after headlines. The government of Turkey has arrested more than 6,000 people accused of participating in a failed military coup over the weekend. The Turkish president, Recep Tayyip Erdogan, he's accused Fethullah Gulen, a Turkish cleric living in Pennsylvania, of masterminding the coup. Gulen has lived in the U.S. since 1999, when he fled Turkey after being accused of organizing religious extremists against the Turkish government. Gulen had been an ally of Erdogan until just a few years ago, when Gulen criticized Erdogan's response to protests over his plan to raise a popular park in downtown Istanbul. U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry said the U.S. still has not received a formal extradition request for Gulen.
We have not had a formal request for extradition. That has to come in a formal package. It has to come with documentation for the request and go to the Justice Department, and we will deal with it.
The Turkish President Erdogan attended funerals over the weekend for some of the nearly 200 civilians killed in Friday's attempted coup. Supporters of Erdogan continued to celebrate across the country today. Other citizens found an uneasy calm on Monday as the coup appeared to have been definitively defeated. There is fear that Erdogan, who before the coup was accused of becoming an autocrat, will use the coup to justify further actions against his political opponents. We'll have more on Turkey later in the broadcast. We'll go to Istanbul. The Republican National Convention opens in Cleveland, Ohio today. More than 50,000 people are flooding into Cleveland for the convention, where the Republican Party is slated to formally nominate real estate mogul Donald Trump to be the party's presidential nominee and to ratify the party platform. But more than a dozen Republican leaders have decided to skip the RNC. South Carolina Senator Lindsey Graham says he's not coming because he doesn't support Donald Trump. Arizona Senator Jeff Flake says he's staying home because he'd rather mow his lawn. Florida Congressman Dennis Ross is skipping the RNC because, quote, it's a good time to be fishing in Montana, unquote. Florida Senator Marco Rubio, Arizona Senator John McCain, and Kentucky Senator Rand Paul are also skipping the convention. But many other party leaders and operatives will be coming, including Georgia Congressman Rob Woodall, who said, quote, the place where we're going to pick the next leader of the free world? Heck yeah, I'm going, unquote. Thousands of police, federal agents, and military personnel are also flooding into Cleveland, which has received nearly $50 million in federal funding to beef up security. The Department of Homeland Security has sent at least 3,000 FBI, Secret Service, and other federal agents. At least an additional 1,500 county police officers and state troopers have also been dispatched to Cleveland. The Pentagon has also deployed Ohio National Guardsmen, U.S. Coast Guard officers, and military personnel from U.S. Northern Command. The Cleveland Police Department ordered an additional 2,000 sets of riot armor in advance of the convention. Police officers have also begun carrying AR-15 semi-automatic rifles and military-style M14 rifles, which are typically reserved for snipers. Civilians may also be carrying military-grade weapons in downtown Cleveland this week. Like Louisiana and Texas, Ohio is an open-carry state. The head of Cleveland's largest police union, Stephen Loomis, has called on Ohio Governor John Kasich to suspend open-carry laws for the week of the RNC, saying, quote, I don't care if it's constitutional or not at this point. Loomis spoke further on CNN.
That's absolute insanity to me. This is an open-carry state. Most police officers generally love the Constitution and will take a bullet to defend it, as we saw, admirably in Dallas. But at the end of the day, it's not responsible. It's legal to bring your guns, but it's not responsible.
You don't want them doing it. You don't want them exercising their quote-unquote right.
Absolutely not. That makes for mayhem.
In response, Ohio Governor John Kasich said, quote, Ohio governors do not have the power to arbitrarily suspend federal and state constitutional rights or state laws as suggested, unquote. After weeks of speculation, Donald Trump has named Indiana Governor Mike Pence as his running mate.
I found the leader who will help us deliver a safe society and a prosperous, really prosperous society for all Americans. Indiana Governor Mike Pence was my first choice. I've admired the work he's done, especially in the state of Indiana.
That's Donald Trump speaking Saturday in New York City. Governor Pence joined Trump on stage to accept the vice presidential nomination. In his speech, he highlighted his conservative values.
Now, people who know me well know I'm a pretty basic guy. I'm a Christian, a conservative, and a Republican in that order. Now, while I currently have the privilege of serving the state that I love, I'm really just a small-town boy who grew up in southern Indiana with a big family and a cornfield in the backyard.
Mike Pence was first elected to Congress in 2000. He was elected governor of Indiana in 2012. In 2015, he signed into law the anti-LGBT Religious Freedom Bill, which gave businesses license to discriminate against LGBT people. The law caused a nationwide backlash. Dozens of companies and professional sports teams and leagues, including the Indianapolis-headquartered NCAA, threatened to boycott the state. Apple CEO Tim Cook slammed the law, likening it to the Jim Crow laws of the American South. Ultimately, Pence was forced to enact a revision specifying the law does not authorize anti-LGBT discrimination. As Governor Pence also oversaw a cut in Planned Parenthood funding in the state and signed legislation since blocked that would have restricted abortion access statewide. He was also a co-sponsor of the bill that authorized the U.S. invasion of Iraq in 2003. The Obama administration's finally declassified 28 pages from the September 11th report detailing possible ties between the Saudi government and the 9/11 attacks. The report states, quote, prior to September 11th, the FBI apparently did not focus investigative resources on Saudi nationals in the United States due to Saudi Arabia's status as an American ally, unquote. The declassified document raises new questions about the role of Fahad al-Thumairy, a Saudi consular official based in the Los Angeles area. Al-Thumairy personally helped two of the hijackers after they arrived in Los Angeles early 2000. The document also reveals details about an incident in 1999 when a flight from Phoenix to Washington, D.C. was forced to make an emergency landing due to suspicious activity by two Saudi men, including one who attempted to enter the cockpit twice. In Baltimore, Maryland, police arrested 65 protesters during an anti-police brutality march Saturday. The protesters attempted to shut down Interstate 83. Protests have erupted in dozens of cities following the killings by police of two African-American men, Alton Sterling in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and Philando Castile in Falcon Heights, Minnesota. Baltimore is also awaiting a decision in the trial of a police officer charged in the 2015 death of Freddie Gray. Gray died of injuries sustained in police custody last year, sparking nationwide demonstrations. And on Staten Island, hundreds marched Sunday to mark the second anniversary of the death of Eric Garner, who died in a fatal police chokehold July 17, 2014. The march was organized by his daughter, Erica Garner, who spoke last week on Democracy Now!
You know, we are under attack as Black people. We are being gunned down every day, and these officers are not being held accountable. And no charges, from Tamir Rice to my dad to Freddie Gray. You know, to
see our full interview with Eric Garner, you can go to the interview at democracynow.org. And those are some of the headlines. This is Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, The War and Peace Report.